Let's do this. I was tagged by Bandit Nev to do the challenge questions. So let's do them. And thanks for picking me, Bandit Nev. I appreciate it. And I'll do my best. Who scores these? Alright, when did you start riding motorcycles? It was either right at the end of 1970 or at the very beginning of 1971. Why did you start? I was at my first duty station, Dam Neck, Virginia. A few miles away was Virginia Beach, Virginia, a little resort city. And I had no vehicle, no transportation. I lived in the barracks. Like I say, I was first duty station out of after boot camp. And there was a guy in the barracks that had a motorcycle, and he offered to let me take it for a ride. So I took it for a ride, and I said, yeah, this will do great. So I went out and bought a motorcycle, and I guess the main reasons would be I certainly needed some transportation to get off base and do anything. And I definitely needed transportation to get into Virginia Beach, down to the beach where the bikinis were. So I got my first motorcycle. I started riding motorcycles so I could see bikinis. Which was your first motorcycle? How many have you ridden? Whew, man, I've ridden. You know, I've forgotten all the motorcycles I've ridden, but I don't think you ever forget your first motorcycle. It was brand new. It was that first motorcycle I got at my first duty station. It was a brand new, I'm going to say it was 71, unless it was a leftover 70, but 71 Honda CB 350, green and black. And I loved that bike. It was just my first brand new vehicle, so it was pretty great. How many have you ridden? Well, after that, I know I had when they came out, I got the Honda 500 4-cylinder. Then I had a really great bike. It was a fully chopped 750 Honda. And then I know I had another 500 Honda, all street bikes. Over the years I've had, or early on I had a couple of off-road bikes too, but I sort of never really got into that. I remember I really liked it, but I was by myself. You know, this is before cell phones and all that kind of stuff, so if you're off riding by yourself off-road and you got lost or something happened to the bike and you were all alone, you know, it just too big of a risk, of too big of an inconvenience. And you know, of course back then, very young, you didn't think about it, but you know, worst case scenario, you hurt yourself, nobody's there to help you. So you know, I just never really got into it. If I had friends over the years that rode off-road bikes when I was younger, I probably would have done it. Would have enjoyed it more, got into it and all that. I don't remember if it was called a Hawk or a Nighthawk. I think it was either a 400 or 450 cc. I had another Honda 750. I had a bike or two that I don't remember if they were Yamahas or what they were. And then I was without a bike for a few years. Not because I thought I was getting too old for them, but just circumstances meant I had to have cars and not bikes and whatever. So I was without a bike for a few years, and then I did some work for a Chinese scooter dealership in Dallas. And part of my pay for doing some of their internet work was a 250cc Chinese scooter. You know, they're decent size and all that, so I hopped on that thing, and I'll tell you, the first day I rode that thing, and I had always maintained my motorcycle license, so I was completely legal to get on it and ride. So, I mean, I remember the first time I got on it and rode it to where I was going. I thought, how did I stop riding? You know, I was floored. I was so mad at myself. So it didn't take too long for me to get rid of that. And then I got a Suzuki Boulevard. The one that has, I think it's just over 800cc engine. And that was pretty nice. That's just barely getting into touring, you know. And, oh, I'm sorry, after the scooter I went to a 500 Kawasaki Vulcan 500. Then I went to the Boulevard. Then I went to the Bergman 650, which I absolutely loved. I'd have that today if it wasn't I was doing so much highway riding and all that. And the bike I have now, which is the Kawasaki Vulcan 900 LT touring, is very comfortable on the road, and you know, it edges out the Bergman for that. Although the Bergman, long distance, I drove it from north of Dallas down to here, over an 8-hour ride, and came straight down, and it was fine. I actually liked the ride, except for the cold. I did it in January. So anyways, all in all, I have to say I probably had at least 12, 15 motorcycles. You know, somewhere in there. Which is your dream bike? Well, up to a year or so ago, probably my dream bike would have been really any really good sized touring bike that, you know, I could go cross country and everything else on. Now, I think what would suit me, what would be my dream bike, would be a touring Can-Am Spider, one of the touring models. Great for around town, you know, do shopping, grocery shopping, all that. And if I wanted to take a weekend trip or go off for a week or two, yeah, I'd love to have one of those. Off-road or street? Definitely street. You know, all I do is cruise. I'd be afraid off-road now of breaking limbs. I'm not talking about the trees. Have you ever fallen or had an accident? The only time I've fallen or had an accident was in the 70s, all 3 times. One time was my own fault. Took a street bike down on the beach. It was legal to be on the beach. Went from hard sand to soft sand at a high rate of speed on a street bike, and you know, enough said. The other 2 times got hit one time. Looked right at the guy's eyes at a stop sign. He looked right at me, and of course this is in the 70s. As I went past him, he pulled out and he clipped my rear turn signal, knocked me around off the bike and all that, but I was okay. And then the other time, very similar, on the same street too, on Atlantic Avenue, which runs parallel to the Atlantic Ocean. Sweet little old lady, I'm at a stoplight, stationary. It's not like I had just pulled up, I'm there. And she comes up and I could see in my mirror she was going to hit me. I let off the brakes and everything, she hit me and I went forward. I don't think I fell. And she had full intentions of stopping for the red light. She wasn't going to run the red light, but she was going to stop where I was stopped because she didn't see me. And at that time, Virginia Beach, which is a resort town, a lot of people, probably the vast majority of their season's business was from people coming down from New York and Pennsylvania and come down to Virginia Beach and sun and sail and all that stuff. And people didn't have motorcycles up there, you know. It wasn't like now where there's motorcycles, you know, all over the country. So when they come down south, they just, you know, they didn't see me. But that was the only time. Since then, knock on wood, I've been okay. When did you start motovlogging? I started motovlogging in February of 2013. I was riding motorcycles and I did research for something and YouTube came up, and I wasn't on YouTube. I didn't watch YouTube videos or anything. I mentioned this before, late to the party, but did some research, and then something took me, it might have been researching motorcycles, I don't know, but something took me to some guy on a motorcycle riding around with a helmet and a camera, and I said, man, that's cool, I could do that. So I did it. February 2013. Which motovlog channels do you subscribe to? These. Subscribe to those motovloggers. Does your bike have a name? No, it does not. I'm not against having it, giving the bike a name. I just hadn't really thought to give this bike a name. I've given other motor vehicles names, other motorcycles names. I just never got around to naming this one. Tag some YouTuber to answer this tag. I presume by YouTuber, you mean another motovlogger. So I tag Navy Thomas 8. Unless you've already done this. If you've done this, I'll name somebody else later. Let me know. But he's my obvious tag. He and I have, we have sort of similar sense of humor, and I've done a video and he's done a rebuttal to it, and vice versa, and so we've had some fun. And so I'd like to have the history of motorbike, his motorcycle challenge question that's answered and all that. So I tag Navy Thomas 8. I'll put all the links and everything he's going to do, just like Bandit Nev did for me. I'll put down below. Thank you guys for watching, and any additional questions, comments, whatever, down below. And I will see you guys mañana, tomorrow. Bye bye.